The theme of the event is called 1.5 degree cuisine, and 11 teams are designing 11 climate-conscious experimental dishes for the climate emergency.
We have fluid going into this?
So the brief is design a climate-friendly micro dish in the year 2050 for a climate-friendly feast. So they're all working in separate groups to create their dish. And to make it even a bit more difficult, we have given them a task to design also the serveware. So they need to think how they're going to present the food.
Things like tree bark or logs or other resources that they've been able to find on the farm. And that's really helped, I think, inspire some of the creative cooking as well as the way that it's presented and the experience ultimately that we're achieving through this project.
We see a real fusion of different cultures and different ideas. We have a lot of international students, so they all bring the culinary heritage together here and create those new innovative dishes with new cooking techniques. And then we see on Sunday how it all comes together.
So we started the weekend with a visit to an organic farm, which is not far from here, Sandy Lane Farm, on understanding about sustainable farming.
We want to show them actually how do we feed people, how do things grow. Everything takes time, everything is a lot of work. We want to make sure they understand the roots of where our food comes from. Everyone they talk to, the farmers, how do they work, how do they grow, how long does it take to grow a carrot? And it's really important they understand the full cycle of the food industry before they design.
So we gave each team a particular vegetable to work with. So some teams have been working with calvadanero, which is a type of kale. Others have been working with butternut squash. Others have been working with things like seaweed, etc. So they had a single ingredient really to base their dish around as a challenge really to see what they could do and be creative within that ingredient.
It's definitely encouraged me to be more resourceful and creative, so I quite like the idea that everyone has different materials and you've got to work with what you've got. You can't like Amazon deliver something in for tomorrow. And if anything, that's made us, do more cool and creative things. And this place is honestly like nothing I've ever seen before. Where you got a massive robotic arm behind me, 30 seconds away you got a beautiful library, and 30 seconds that way you got lovely horses and nice big fields. There's so much potential to be creative here, and that's really exciting.
It's like a playground for designers, so we have all the tools we can to make things, also the space to think.
We've also encouraged them to forage.
So they are in a natural environment with a lot of land around them. They actually can forage their own food, and we have specialist chefs that know which food is good. So we can bring future designers with their futuristic ideas with experts in the field in feeding people.
I am here as a guest chef or guest food designer. I'm here to help steer them in the right direction, maybe what they're doing, give them advice on cooking and presentation. I've also brought seaweed with me from the coast, from Margate, for them to use, and they've taken that on board. I think pretty much every team has got some element of seaweed in their menu.
I've never sort of just played with food and see what we can make with it. To me, it's like I come from manufacturing, so it's very similar to sort of manufacturing is how you cook, and yeah, just playing with that for like a couple of days is amazing.
It's really interesting to be exploring something that's in 2050 and that is climate conscious, especially with the ingredients that we've got, with like a heavy emphasis on things like seaweed. It's just so exciting to be able to experiment.
Cooking with new ingredients entirely, so it's just a completely new experience.
The fact that you're working with food, you have so many different senses and like feelings that need to go in terms of like texture, even in terms of defining the color of the food, even in terms of the crunch and the sound of the food when you eat it. All of these things make so much difference. So just exploring what all of these things are going to be in 2050, yeah, like a really good imaginary and explorative exercise.
I feel our process was kind of evolutionary, so we just sort of talked about something, tried it, and then it all evolved into this final dish, which is pretty delicious. So we made an oyster shell filled with boiled down seaweed stock with some vegan caviar inside, topped with some crispy artichoke and some caramelized sugar.
Remarkable. Genuinely, the concept ideas, the themes, and then the execution as well. Really, really impressive.
I mean, it's just kind of incredible what they've created. For a lot of the people that aren't actual cooks, they've created some amazing dishes.